A rock opera is more than just a collection of songs. It's storytelling told through the power of rock. Unlike traditional opera, these works were rarely staged at first. Instead, they appeared as concept albums, with lyrics tied together into a single narrative, often featuring distinct characters and dramatic twists. The roots of the idea go back to the 1960s. In 1963, Frank Zappa was already experimenting with the phrase rock opera for a project that was eventually abandoned. A few years later, producer Mark Wirtz developed a teenage opera, but that too remained incomplete and wasn't fully realized until decades later. It wasn't until 1968 that the Pretty Things released SF Sorrow, widely considered the first fully realized rock opera. Then came The Who's Tommy in 1969, the first album to be officially billed as a rock opera. With it, the concept exploded into mainstream culture, proving that ambitious storytelling could thrive within the framework of rock. From that moment on, the rock opera became a bold and influential form, inspiring musicians across generations to push the limits of what an album could be. In this video, we'll explore 10 classic rock opera albums, records that not only shaped the genre, but also left a permanent mark on the history of rock music. Released in December 1968, SF Sorrow by the Pretty Things is often hailed as one of the first true rock operas, predating The Who's Tommy. Produced by Norman Smith at Abbey Road Studios, the record pushed the band into bold psychedelic territory, blending sitar, mellotron, backward guitars, and dense overdubs that made it nearly impossible to reproduce live at the time. The album tells the dark and tragic life story of Sebastian F. Sorrow, from his birth in an industrial town through war, lost love, spiritual searching, and eventual descent into despair and madness. Although its release was poorly promoted and largely overlooked commercially, SF Sorrow has gained recognition as a pioneering work. The album's dense layers and experimental textures meant it couldn't easily be staged in the late 1960s, but decades later, the Pretty Things brought it to life with special performances, including a 1998 Abbey Road concert with David Gilmour and Arthur Brown that was released as Resurrection. Its storyline and ambitious structure paved the way for future narrative-driven rock albums, while songs like Balloon Burning even hinted at krautrock rhythms years ahead of schedule. Today, it's remembered as a visionary milestone in psychedelic and progressive rock.
You might be the loneliest person in the world. Got a feeling 21 is gonna be a good year.
Released on May 19, 1969, Tommy was The Who's ambitious leap into new territory, an album that transformed the idea of what rock music could be. Written primarily by guitarist Pete Townsend, it's a sprawling double LP that tells the story of Tommy Walker, a boy left deaf, dumb, and blind after a childhood trauma, who eventually becomes a messianic figure. While not the very first rock opera, the Pretty Things' SF Sorrow came earlier. Tommy was the first to gain widespread recognition, taking the concept from underground experimentation to international acclaim. The album blends hard rock, psychedelia, and lyrical storytelling, with standout moments like the explosive Pinball Wizard and the spiritual climax of See Me, Feel Me. Inspired in part by Indian spiritual teacher Meher Baba, Townsend channeled themes of transcendence and inner awakening into the music. Following its release, The Who staged extensive live performances of Tommy, including legendary shows at Woodstock and the Isle of Wight, which cemented its reputation as both a rock milestone and a cultural event. More than 50 years later, Tommy remains a landmark and audacious narrative in sound that reshaped the possibilities of the album format. If Tommy, 1969, was the landmark that paved the way for the rock opera, then 4 years later, Quadrophenia stood as The Who's most ambitious artistic statement. Set against the backdrop of the early 60s mod movement, The double album tells the story of Jimmy, a disillusioned teenager searching for identity. With its complex arrangements, bold use of synthesizers, and powerhouse performances from Pete Townsend, Roger Daltrey, John Entwistle, and Keith Moon, Quadrophenia is often regarded as The Who's greatest achievement.
Hide, witch, hide, the good folks come to burn thee.
In the heat of the countercultural era, Paul Kantner envisioned not just a concept album, but a full-fledged rock opera that reached beyond Earth itself. The result was Blows Against the Empire, 1970, credited to Paul Kantner and Jefferson Starship, marking the debut of the Starship name years before the band formally existed.
Let's go together, let's go together.
Recorded during Jefferson Airplane's downtime, the project brought together a remarkable collective of San Francisco musicians. Grace Slick, Jerry Garcia, David Crosby, Graham Nash, and members of the Grateful Dead and Quicksilver Messenger service, capturing the collaborative spirit that defined the scene.
The 23rd of November. To the abyss of Chicago, you can see the barbed wire.
Unlike a simple collection of songs, the album unfolds like a staged narrative. It tells a science fiction tale of a band of rebels who hijack a starship to escape the grip of Uncle Samuel and set out in search of a new utopia. Each track functions like a scene: the explosive call to arms in Mau Mau American, the whimsical interlude of The Baby Tree, the ethereal reflection of Have You Seen the Stars Tonight, and the climactic launch in Starship. Drawing inspiration from Robert A. Heinlein's novels, Kantner fused politics, psychedelia, and cosmic imagination into a continuous dramatic arc. Blows Against the Empire stands as one of rock's boldest experiments, an early space-age rock opera, and notably the first rock album ever nominated for a Hugo Award.
At first, I was iridescent. Then I became transparent.
Jesus Christ Superstar is a groundbreaking 1970 rock opera by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice, first released as a concept album after the pair failed to secure funding for a stage production. Upon release, it stirred controversy and was even banned by the BBC for being sacrilegious. Yet this only fueled its notoriety and popularity. Inspired by sources ranging from Bob Dylan's lyrics to Fulton J. Sheen's Life of Christ, the work retells the final days of Jesus through a bold, modern lens. Much of the story is seen from the conflicted perspective of Judas Iscariot. Featuring Ian Gillan of Deep Purple as Jesus and Murray Head as Judas, the album fused theatrical ambition with the raw energy of rock, quickly topping U.S. charts and selling millions worldwide. Its success sparked the Broadway debut in 1971 and a record-breaking West End run. With its anachronistic lyrics, emotional intensity, and iconic songs like Superstar and I Don't Know How to Love Him, it remains one of the most influential rock musicals ever created.
My God, I saw him! He looked like all his dead, and he was so bad I had to turn my head.
This is the town and these are the people.
Harry Nilsson's The Point, 1970, is a whimsical rock opera that blends pop craft with a fully realized story. It follows Oblio, the only round-headed boy in the pointed village, where by law everything and everyone must have a point. After humiliating the Count's son in a game of triangle toss, Oblio and his loyal dog Arrow are banished to the pointless forest. Along the way, they encounter surreal characters and discover that even what seems pointless has meaning. The album itself is narrated entirely by Nilsson, who voiced every character in addition to writing and singing the songs, while the 1971 animated film adaptation, first narrated by Dustin Hoffman, later by Ringo Starr, brought the tale to television audiences. Anchored by the single Me and My Arrow, which reached number 34 on the Billboard Hot 100, the work remains a landmark in musical storytelling.
Had a drink or two an hour or so ago, it made me think of you, and now I know it's not the last time.
Often described as a concept album or even a pop opera, The point stands comfortably alongside rock operas of its era, only with a lighter, more whimsical pop touch than the heavy rock dramas of the day.
You sleeping, or can you hear me? Do you know if I am by your side? She will come to the show tonight, pray to the light machine.
In 1972, David Bowie unleashed one of the most iconic rock albums of all time, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. More than just a record, it introduced the world to Ziggy Stardust, Bowie's flamboyant, gender-bending alien rock star who lands on Earth with a message of hope, only to be destroyed by the excesses of fame.
So where were the spiders?
Bowie also cited Iggy Pop as an influence on the music of Ziggy Stardust, helping to shape its gritty, proto-punk edge beneath the glam rock sheen. The result was a sound that felt both dangerous and irresistible, carried by Mick Ronson's explosive guitar work and Bowie's unforgettable vocals.
Come on, you really gotta put things away. Come on.
Tracks like 5 Years set the apocalyptic stage. Starman brought Bowie to mainstream America, and Rock and Roll Suicide delivered a dramatic curtain call. What makes Ziggy Stardust timeless isn't only the music but the mythology. David Bowie blurred the lines between persona and performance, inspiring generations of artists from punk to pop.
Oh no, love, you're not alone. You're watching yourself, but you're...
At just 38 minutes, the album flows like a theatrical production, with each song adding a piece to Ziggy's rise and tragic fall. Half a century later, Ziggy remains a symbol of reinvention, rebellion, and rock and roll at its most daring. In the mid-70s, Genesis took one of the boldest risks of their career. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, 1974, wasn't just another progressive rock record. It was an ambitious double album that played like a rock opera. Across 23 tracks, it told the strange and often surreal story of Rael, a streetwise youth lost in a dreamlike New York landscape. Peter Gabriel's dramatic storytelling and theatrical stage presence pushed Genesis into new territory, while the band's complex musicianship gave the music both grit and grandeur. The tour that followed was unlike anything fans had seen. The band performed the entire album in sequence, with Gabriel in elaborate costumes and slides projecting the story behind him. But behind the scenes, things were unraveling.
I love you. Without you, what would a poor boy do?
In November 1974, during a stop in Cleveland, Gabriel privately revealed to his bandmates he intended to leave once the tour wrapped up. The news stayed under wraps until mid-1975, when rumors broke and Gabriel addressed the press with his open letter, "Out, Angels Out." Disillusioned with the music industry and eager to spend more time with his family, Gabriel walked away, leaving Genesis to reinvent themselves with Phil Collins stepping up as lead vocalist. Few debut albums have ever made an entrance as explosive as Bat Out of Hell, 1977, the collaboration between powerhouse vocalist Meat Loaf and visionary songwriter Jim Steinman. Originally developed from Steinman's rock opera project Neverland, the album fused theatrical storytelling, operatic arrangements, and hard-driving rock into something completely over the top and unforgettable. Steinman even coined the term Wagnerian rock, after composer Richard Wagner, to describe its mix of bombast, grandeur, and raw teenage emotion. Produced by Todd Rundgren, and featuring members of Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band alongside Rundgren's own group Utopia, the record turns 7 songs into epic mini-dramas. Tracks like the 9-minute title cut, the playful Paradise by the Dashboard Light, and the aching ballad 2 Out of 3 Ain't Bad showcase Steinman's gift for writing personality songs. These are operatic worlds of rebellion, lust, and longing that felt larger than life. At first, every major label rejected the project. Clive Davis even told Steinman he didn't know how to write a proper song. But once Cleveland International, released through Epic Records, took a chance, the album's live performances, TV appearances, and word of mouth turned it into a global phenomenon. Today, Bat Out of Hell has sold over 43 million copies worldwide, remains the best-selling album in Australia, and has spent more than 500 weeks on the UK charts. More than just an album, it launched a theatrical rock universe, inspiring 2 sequels and even a hit stage musical.
So now I'm praying for the end of time to hurry up and...
It wasn't very large. There was just enough room to cram the drums in the corner of...
Joe's Garage is Frank Zappa's 3-part rock opera, released in 1979, that combines biting satire, complex musicianship, and storytelling unlike anything else in rock history. Told through the voice of the central scrutinizer, it follows Joe, an ordinary young man from Canoga Park, as he forms a garage band, navigates disastrous relationships, falls prey to a fake religion, and ultimately faces imprisonment. After release, Joe enters a dystopian world where music itself is illegal. He descends into madness while imagining his final guitar solos. Musically, the album spans rock, blues, jazz, doo-wop, reggae, and orchestral passages, and features Zappa's innovative xenochrony technique overdubbing live solos onto new material. Standout tracks like Watermelon and Easter Hay showcase Zappa's emotive guitar work, hailed by critics and fans alike. Initially met with mixed reviews, the complete Acts 1-3 release is now celebrated as one of Zappa's most ambitious works of the 70s, combining humor, political commentary, and virtuosic musicianship in a truly unique musical journey. In the late 70s, when punk was tearing down rock's old guard, Pink Floyd went in the opposite direction, building their most ambitious project yet. The Wall, released in 1979, is a sprawling rock opera that tells the story of Pink, a rock star consumed by grief, control, and the crushing emptiness of fame. Piece by piece, he constructs a psychological wall that isolates him from the world, only to face a dramatic collapse.
We don't need no education.
Roger Waters was inspired by his own experiences of loss and alienation. He crafted the concept during a difficult tour in 1977. With producer Bob Ezrin shaping the narrative and David Gilmour adding unforgettable guitar work, most famously on Comfortably Numb, the album became a dark yet cinematic journey. Michael Kamen's orchestral arrangements and the children's chorus on Another Brick in the Wall Part 2 gave it both grandeur and edge, turning it into a cultural touchstone. More than just a double album, The Wall became a worldwide phenomenon, spawning groundbreaking stage shows, a feature film, and even opera adaptations. Selling over 30 million copies, it remains one of the boldest statements in rock, proof that music can be both intensely personal and universally resonant. I hope you enjoyed this journey through some of the most unforgettable rock operas ever made. From the stories, the characters, to the music that still resonates today, these albums show just how powerful rock can be. If you have any other favorites or hidden gems, share them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your picks.